Hi guys, you're tuned into Rappler Talk Entertainment on Kumu. My name is Amanda, and tonight, fresh off the release of their album Pagbigkas, we have Pochoy, Kelly, and Boogie of Dicta License and their producer, Jarel Corpus. Hi guys!
Hi, thanks for
Hi,
having us.
Amanda. Thanks,
Yeah,
Rappler.
thanks
Thanks for
for
Hello.
having us.
being here.
Thanks,
So you
Amanda.
picked
Thanks,
out
Rappler.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So you picked out several songs from the new album, and we'll be listening to that all together, and you'll also be talking about it. But before that, let's talk about the album itself. It's your sophomore album. You released it on April 9. We all know that was a deliberate move kasi araw ng kagitingan. So how did it feel
Sort of.
to, to put that album out into the world?
Uh, so I guess I'll go first. Uh, it was kind of a relief and like a feeling of, a long time coming. 16 years since our last release. I mean, after Paghilom, we released a few like singles, collaboration, but nothing, not an album. And yeah, just a great feeling. Especially most of the songs were composed during this whole pandemic. So yeah, I guess it was a feeling of release and just a sense of accomplishment. Like finally.
How
Yeah,
about
and just yeah, and
yeah?
just to add to just to add to what Pachoy said, um, ang haba since the last one. When we looked back, it was like, oh my gosh, 16 years. So it really felt like, something new for us again. Especially when we started kind of getting back into working on a body of work, and really putting that together. It was a different process also. Jor was very much involved, and of course, the writing was totally different from the way we did Paghilom when we were way younger. So it was an interesting and fulfilling process also in its own way.
Mhm. How about Boogie? How did you feel?
Yeah. Yeah, happy. I'm happy to just be able to contribute to the album, to be part of it, and proud of these guys for putting it together. Especially Pochoy and Jarel really put a lot of time and effort into it. So just happy to be able to just be part of it. Finally, good
Mhm.
job.
And Jarell, you were like the producer. You worked a lot with these guys for
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
album. What was it like putting it out there?
It was a lot of work, but it was very fun because I wanted to do it. I mean, I felt like it was something that needed to be done, and Butcher had really great ideas. I wanted to make sure that we executed it in a way where it came out the best way it could have been. And I think we achieved that, and I'm happy with what happened.
Mhm. So you said nga no, this was your first album in 16 years. That's such a long time. Um, why
Hello,
why
long
this
time.
year?
Uh,
I thought last year, no? Yeah.
we we've been wanting to come out with a new album. Why? I guess this is like one of the silver linings to the pandemic. I really got to sit down and write. Um, but yeah, we've been, and I guess like what a time, right? To release an album during this time where we can't even jam and play these songs live. Uh, Hindi siya I don't know if sadya siya, but it just came together, I guess.
And
Yeah.
this whole process started also with the first track, when Bagong Bayani came out, and that was kind of the start of the new kind of sound that we were going for. And then the subsequent releases after that, like
Mm.
Dictador, Salita, Inosenteng Bala, that was just basically the momentum we needed to kind of get the album out.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we had thoughts about releasing it actually earlier, But given the situation and how things are, it landed where it landed. So actually,
Right.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's it.
And you mentioned na Bagong Bayani was out na, and then you have all these
Yeah,
tracks that were released before. Like Bagong Bayani is even from 2018, so it's been
yeah.
a few years na rin. Were you conscious when you were writing these earlier tracks that you were gonna put them together in one album?
Yes. It's just that we really take a lot of time writing, and we're also busy. But yeah, there was really a plan to compile songs and write. Well, just to write and release something. And of course, we wanted an album. We the back of our heads, of course, like everyone's like releasing singles, but we really wanted the follow up. Well, I personally wanted a follow up to Paghilom. So yeah, I guess like consciously and unconsciously, we were compiling songs, um, and we were also. I mean, it. We were jamming before
Yeah.
the pandemic happened. So
Pandemic.
like in a Senteng Bala, we were trying to make that happen um, before the pandemic. Yeah.
And during our live sets, we also before when we still had shows, diba, we already played Bagong Bayani. We already played Dictador. Those were part of our set already. So there was really new material being planned also back then.
Ooh, okay. So at what point did Jorel come on?
Um,
There you start.
from the very start, because Pochoy showed me Pochoy showed me all the demos as it was happening.
Yeah.
Since Bagong Bayani came out, parang he was trying to. We were trying to figure out how to make the track happen, and then so on and so forth. As the tracks came, as he was writing them, he was sending them to me, and we were working on it together.
Yeah.
So
Actually, see, Jorel had the. Yeah, so that's really our process. I would like make a demo and then like send it to Jorel, and yeah, I'm just like sort of talking about Innocenting Bala because that's like the song that we were jamming. All the rest kasi wala eh. Hindi na namin na jam together. But even that it took a long time. May mga demos pa si Jorel yung gumawa. And I think si Boogie also did like a demo that's like jazzy. There's like a lot of iterations of that song.
mhm.
Yeah.
And listening to the new album, it's so different from Paghilom.
Yeah.
In that, Paghilom was so grungy. It was so like raw. Like you could hear the distortion and the guitars and stuff. And this is more, I would say, grown up in a way. Like there's so many different elements then that come into it. So was that like a conscious, like even with a big band, sound and like the samples and everything, was that a conscious direction that you wanted to go into with this new album?
So yeah, 16 years, 'di ba? So hopefully you mag-grow ka naman in that period. So of course like we're totally different musicians now. We listen to different material. Um, so yeah, I guess it's just a natural progression of like who we are now. So yeah, all the influences and all the music, I guess, with those 16 years, like influenced the writing.
Mm. I could see
Yeah.
Boogie nodding his head earlier. Was there anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, well, early on when we were just talking about the album pa lang, I mean, we had decided talaga, well, Pucho really wanted a different sound, syempre, because it's 15 years, 16 years after. And so instead of doing a guitar heavy album like the first album, he wanted to introduce, other instruments naman, like the piano, ayan, mga trumpets, you can hear it naman everywhere. So yeah, Kaya,
Si
kaya,
Boogie na,
medyo, yeah,
si
sorry.
Boogie biglang nagpiano.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, and it
And,
reflected also in our live shows, diba?
Yeah.
Boogie would have now a setup where it's a more of a hybrid situation where some songs he would play the keys, and then you
Yeah.
have the guitar there. So, um, if we still had live shows, we would definitely go in this direction where it's a lot more hybrid. It's a lot more, um, um, not so fully set up as a band situation, diba? With backing tracks and everything.
Yeah, and
Wait,
we
so
we use a lot of samples now. Yeah, that's why we have that like tech, right? Technology that we use to trigger samples.
hirap.
Mahirap, mahirap. It's a different way of playing live. Yeah.
so si Boogie biglang nagpiano, meaning did you have to like learn for this album?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What for real?
Yeah, pa chords lang, and then, just mga, I'm not really, great, but, enough to make sounds that make sense, I guess, for the songs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Grabe. Yeah, he started with just like the chords, pero like you would hear, oh, what's he doing?
Yeah, some fills there
He's
coming
like,
in.
yeah, he's like doing some like fills na rin. So, yeah, sayang nga eh. Kasi, yeah, hindi namin matugtog the new songs. But hopefully, right? Like,
Yeah,
Hmm.
after 2 years,
Well,
I don't
well, well, it's not that hindi nyo matugtog. Hindi nyo lang matugtog dahil walang gigs.
yun nga eh. Yun yun eh.
This would be so amazing to hear live. I can imagine it
yeah.
already.
We, we,
Um,
we will. Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
No, it's gonna be part of our long term plan to find a way to get to play these live.
Yeah.
Definitely,
We have to.
we have to.
Like, it's
Yep.
just
Kayang-kaya yan. Ako
crazy
bala.
if we get.
Mm.
2 years, 2 years.
More 1 year.
Wow.
Sana sooner. Yeah.
But one thing that hasn't changed is like the social political messaging. Like those themes are still so strong in this album. And you've been doing that since Paghilom. I mean, ever since you started. At 16 years later, parang you're still doing it, and also it feels like nothing has changed in society, so you kind of still have to do it. But
Yeah.
how, I guess the question I'm getting at is how are you guys not disillusioned yet?
Mm.
Okay. So I mean, it's hard. It's hard dealing with what's happening now. It's hard being a Filipino, I guess, because of the frustration,
Yeah.
diba? It's hard to love this country, but we have to, diba? This is our country. This is our community. This is our government, and kailangan makialam. Kailangan we have to be part of it. And I well, I guess like I forgot to mention kanina, we the I guess the motivation to really come out with material and come out with an album is syempre all these what's happening, the repressive policies, and we really wanted to come out and write, and because that's dicta license, diba? License to speak nga eh. And then we're not gonna um, write songs, and it's just the I guess the most opportune and obvious time for us to come out with material. And yeah, there's no yeah you feel that sometimes na parang it's really hard to be a Filipino, and but kailangan, and I approach these guys, and then I'm happy that they obliged and we're here.
Mhm.
And if you look at it also, Paghilom, when we made it, iba yung we were at different points in our lives. That was 2005 when we
Yeah.
did it. We were in college. Now 16 years later, you can see that Pachoy is a lawyer. Pachoy, there are a lot of different things that have happened to us also. But the topics that we delved on, actually the Pachoy delved on in Pagbigkas was a lot heavier. There's a lot more
I would say,
experience.
yeah.
There's a lot more experience that came with the lyrics this time. Kasi he went through it eh. He went through a lot of experiences to talk about those things. At saka, but it still fits into the narrative of who we are as a band and what we're doing then.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Amanda, you mentioned na parang like we, you know, we're doing the same thing, of course, like speaking out, but I would say it's a totally different social context now, from back then. Of course, there were also, I guess, sins of the past, right? And no government is perfect, no society is perfect, pero it's just, I would say it's more blatant now. The violations are just there,
Or-
and it's scarier actually to speak out now.
Mhm.
So yeah, yung paghilom wala it's like elementary,
Right.
compared to the how our songs are written now, and what the topics that we're talking about.
Right. And you mentioned it's a scarier time to come out with these opinions at the moment. Have you guys had any feedback on the album so far? I mean, it's only been a few days, but have you had any reactions to it?
There were a lot of people, the Dicta fans who actually, the interesting thing is when we started the rollout for this, we put out some stuff on Facebook, and a lot of the fans who followed us, bigla silang nabuhay, alam mo yun, parang they go on Facebook, they go on wherever, biglang, uy, Dicta's coming out with something. So thank you to everyone there who followed us, and we put some stuff out. And kept commenting and talking about the music. Personally, also a bunch of musicians reached out as well who listened to it, and yeah, I think we're happy with how the first couple of days came out, and people have been messaging me personally also, and a lot of different people just saying their opinions about the album. And I guess kudos to Jor and to everyone who really made shaped it and helped the sound come together.
Mhm.
Yeah, ako so far positive feedback, from like our listeners, yung mga people who go to our gigs, um, friends. Not a lot of negative stuff so far. Um, I'm surprised. Kasi- or not. I don't know. Baka there's like
Wala pang
yeah.
trolls.
Like honestly, wala eh. I don't
Oh,
know
wow.
kung meron kayo. Pero like so far, no negative trolling going on. Yeah.
At saka we put it out araw ng kagitingan eh. So it was a nice, we got a couple of retweets also from people, and diba, so who commented on the album and the content. So that was pretty cool. But yeah.
Mm. How about Boogie? Anything?
It's all just been friends and family. So, syempre, all of them are, giving their congratulations. Sounds really
Pangit.
good. Wala akong masyadong comments from strangers or mga trolls. So, no negative feedback yet.
Yet.
Yeah, like Pochoy, I'm surprised also na wala pa. But,
Yeah.
good for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mamaya. Bukas
Jordan,
makalo.
have you heard any feedback? I mean, you're all the way in the US, but
I mean, I nakikita ko naman yung mga pinopost ng kasi they retweet they tweet everything eh. So I mean the Dicta license account retweets the stuff that people say. So I see that and people seem to like it. So
Wala pa ako
uh,
nire-repeat na yung mga pangit hindi ko pa nire-repeat.
yun pala yun.
yun
May
yata.
um, so speaking of feedback, we have someone commenting from Kumu. Negrasha Lacuachera, she says, the lyrics of Pagbigkas are so powerful and commanding. Yan.
Wow, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Negrasha. Negrasha.
Yeah, Negrasha Lacuachera. Yun yung
Lakachera.
kanyang
Oh yeah, I
username.
think I've seen her comment. Yeah.
Hmm.
Thank you
So
May,
at
from the
this
heart.
yeah, at this point, let's go into the songs that
Yeah.
you chose for this listening party.
Yeah.
um, yeah, the
Parang
first
parang masyado tayong seryoso eh, no? Party.
Party,
listening
yeah.
party.
ang aga eh.
Masyado
Ang
maaga.
aga pa. 5 a.m. eh.
Morning
Walang,
ka.
walang drinks.
Liquor ban pa kasi.
Liquor ban pa rin, no? Liquor ban pa rin.
I think so.
Okay.
Di na natin
Na-
alam.
BCQ.
Nasa
Okay.
bahay ako ng kaibigan ko, hindi ako pwede mag-ingay ngayon.
Okay.
Yeah, the first track that we're gonna play is HWFF. So brief description muna, and then we'll play it, and then you can talk more about it.
Yeah.
So who would like to give a brief description
Sorry.
of HWFF?
HWFF.
Okay. HWFF, brief description. This is the only English song in the album.
Mm.
And it has a lot of changes and textures. Pakinggan nyo na.
Right, game. Let's hear it.
Game. Yes, here we go.
Promises, make promises. Promises, break your promises. Democratic, Democrat. Principles not edible, make me fat. Fight corruption, still corrupt. Still the rich, train poor, can't make a buck. Hunger, craving change. Desperate for change. Make a crisis, make a revisionist twist to fit your narrative. Populist comes populist, come to save us, come to save the populace. So we just wanna live, we just wanna follow, swallow everything, yeah. We just wanna live, we just wanna submit. This is how we form fascists. Now tell me how to resist. Communists killed communists, communists killed, is she even communist? Indigenous killed indigenous, take away their lands for business. Sacrifice, lamb sacrifice, hungry, poor and down we sacrifice. Development comes soon for whom? But we just wanna live, we just wanna follow, swallow everything, yeah. We just wanna live, we just wanna submit. This is how we form fascists. Now tell me how to resist. This is how we form fascists. Now tell me how to resist. This is how we form fascists. Now tell me how to resist. This is how we form fascists. Now tell me how to resist. Tell me how it works. Now tell me how to resist. Resist. Tell me how. Tell me how. Realize that they can twist the facts, dress it up with lies, but armed with spiritual lies, you can recognize injustice at the start. Better check your heart, walk the path of righteousness, then light another spark. Light another. Light another.
Cool.
Yay.
Party!
I can already imagine hearing this live. But yeah, what's the story behind this song?
Okay. So It's HWFF, how we form fascists. That's the chorus. Um, Parang gusto ko lang na, because in our previous album, meron kaming .fb na song, Descendants of the Firstborn. And then I was like, okay, baka maganda to have like a abbreviated thing also in this album. So that's the reason. And also kind of, I guess, like to hide also the words. But yeah, paano ba? How did this come about? I had the melody first and the chorus, the "This is how we form fascist" line. Um, I think that was the start of it. And yeah, dami ring like how this was formed. Jory, can you do you remember? Grabe,
Right. Yeah,
sobrang
yeah, yeah.
ano nito like
Actually,
demo. Hmm.
right. What I remember the most was the evolution nung riff you because
Yeah.
you
Oh
know how
yes.
like you know how like when the demo started that was like all horns,
Yup.
uh and then because Pochoy really wanted some horns in this song. So yung if you play the verse, yung promises, make promises, promises, like break your promises, da da da, may ganon, may riff na ganon. Like
Horny.
that was happening as a horn thing in the first demo ever.
And
Oh.
Um,
okay, actually, hindi. Ito baka sila Kel nga hindi alam to.
uh,
Remember we had the parang the message from a soldier riff. That's that's the genesis of this song. The bouncy.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. And
No
then
way.
it's yep, yes way. And then yeah, like it didn't work. Syempre, it's too old school. But I had a riff na sobrang like I guess early 2000 sound. Um and yeah, it started with that and then even the verses to this song. So Jor mentioned the horns. So parang medyo like new metal with the horns. Um and then the verses, I actually had three versions of the verses. Like one was like me like different lyrics. Um, s- Straight up rapping, and then I don't know how we ended up with this. Um, like sort of rapping, but like a repetitive thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
How
Paano ka pala yun, Jor?
oh, I mean, what from my end, what basically happened was um, I kind of like tried to tame the horns part of it. Parang I saved some of it for the latter parts. Para meron siyang what I paid attention to commonly amongst all of these tracks is the development of the production from start to finish. So it will start out as, like it starts out as something maybe simpler, which will then evolve into a big thing towards the end.
right?
So since I kind of got the idea that Pochoy really wanted horns and that riff in this thing, I started off the melody of the riff as an acoustic guitar line,
Yep.
which was actually like we had a little back and forth with that during its conception.
Ba't naging
Um,
gitara?
Parang ganun. Um, Tapos
Yeah.
yung I think we also changed something with the way the chords were wrapped around that riff. Um, so basically, long story short, without getting into too much details, right? What happened was when I heard it, we eventually went back and forth a little bit para merong development yung idea niya na yun. Which then made na sabi ko, ibalik natin yung horns dito sa section na uh, second chorus onwards. And then I don't know if you've know if you maybe if you take a listen again, what happened was the approach to the horns was in the second part when the band comes in. It made I tried to make it sound like real horns, and then towards the end, I turned it into kind of like a hip hop sample kind of deal. So what I did was I took the sound, and then I loaded it into a sampler and made it. I distorted it and did all of the other stuff, so I can just trigger it with like a if with a MIDI thing, so it sounds like parang how like people hip hop producers do it. Parang
Yeah.
ganon. Kasi yung ending part is kind of like a big rap thing.
Yeah.
And then ginawa ko siyang contrast with, kasi may part na it's really a full-on band sound with horns eh. Tapos yung ending tunog, parang I tried to make it sound more hip-hop. Um,
Yeah.
so, ang kwento from my end is that yung production is I try to do the contrasting parts. So meron kang variation in textures.
Mhm.
And that's my end of the story for the song.
Like it builds, no? Parang that's
Parang ganon, with different textures towards from start to finish.
um
And
the
sorry.
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
go ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, the horns kasi parang even when you spoke to Bea in like the last interview you did with us, that came up like the horns naman for Inosenteng Bala. What's
Yeah.
with the horns? Like what's with the horns? Why is it such a presence in this album?
Um. Well, I, I guess. Well, the yung paghilom kasi was super what ano ba, like little production. It's really just like a raw, guitar, bass, drums. I guess like I really wanted a more instruments, more eclectic sound, and yung yeah, horns. Parang I guess parang gusto ko rin medyo na-inspire din ako sa like Radioactive Sago project, that sort of thing. Like maybe it can work with us. So yeah. Yeah, that's why there's like a lot of horns in the album.
I think
And
I think I think most from what I see really is that tama, like kanina they were saying something about like people evolve while they're listening to stuff, and this is just a reflection of what we're listening to.
Yeah.
There were a few songs na we were very purposeful in, like we wanted to sound like this and that, but mostly a lot of these songs, especially HWFF, it was like we were trying to go with the flow kind of deal. Like what do we think will sound good with this? Um, uh, while consciously attempting to make sure ako ang conscious thing na ginagawa ko was that I want variations in texture sa ibang sa sections ng kanta na to.
hmm,
Whether or not, like, I didn't know exactly how I was gonna do it, but it came along while we were developing the stuff.
mhm.
Um, so to answer your question about the horns, I think it's just because at that time when we were like making the stuff, it was so like like what can we put here that's kind of maybe weird for us to do. And I guess for the way I interpreted it was at that time it was like, let's try to put horns. Why not? You know, and make it sound cohesive with the rest of the stuff.
Yeah. And
I,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Amanda, just on the content naman, the lyrics. Yeah, nakalimutan ko kanina eh. But yeah, it was such a challenge for me to come up with the verses for this song. Uh, Una-una, the time signature. It's the
Right.
for the verses. It's not 4/4. It's not like your typical hip hop beat. So so I have versions actually na ewan ko kung lalabas yan. But and the challenge was the concept was the chorus is how we form fascists, right? So actually yung mga ibang verses ko talagang and this really like the formula on how you create like a fascist society or like a person that's like super right wing. Yeah, ganun yung lyrics. So the content of the lyrics plus the challenge of fitting those lyrics to that meter was like a tough job. But yeah,
And
happy with how it came out.
yeah, you said you started with that line, yung how we form fascists. Where did that line come to you from? Like, how did you come up with that specific line?
Yeah, I guess that parang may concept lang like how did parang I wanted to write a song na how did we end up this way, or yeah, like this appeal to a strong man without question, yung medyo fanaticism ganyan. um I wanted to write a song about that, and na sort of like this is how parang ganun. So
Right.
I think no ano pa hindi pa siya how we form fascists eh, parang I there was another word, make, how we make like ganon. But form eh, kasi parang F, di ba?
Mm.
Like, it's better. Um, but yeah, it started with the concept. And then, yun nga, okay.
Tapos English, was that a conscious choice to use English? I mean, slow in English back on the album.
I think this is the last one, or second to the last song we wrote. Kaya, yeah, parang puro Tagalog. It's like, put one English song there. Yeah.
Mm. Maiba lang, ganun.
Yes. Para naman, may isa.
Mm. Boogie, what were your thoughts when you heard this song? Like, nung pinresent ni Pochoy for the first time to you guys.
Well, this is my favorite. Ganda. I like the structure. I like the time signatures. It's very sobrang odd, sobrang random. Ganun ang type ko eh. So for me, in that sense, it's the closest song to sound-wise. Parang, medyo malapit sa early
True.
style namin eh. Like in
Mm.
Paghilom, I think there's some songs there na medyo odd din yung timing. So yeah, I really like it. And yeah, I remember when they were going back and forth, which I was also asking me what to do with the song. I remember nga puro trumpets and everything, but I like how it turned out. Ganda. It's my favorite. Good job.
And also the cadence of how Pachoy delivered this track was pretty really cool. You know how he, especially how he delivered the different verses, like what he said a while ago, and of course how it ended up to the ending with resist, diba? And giving and repeating that line. And I think content wise nga medyo ang lakas ng song na to about what's really going on also right now. And I'm glad nga that how it flowed and how it talked about all these different things of society and how we're doing those things now.
Sorry, my wife just handed me a note. One of the reasons pala na English is this, of course, parang this appeal to a strong man, this like to fascist and authoritarian tendencies is a global phenomenon. So it's not just us. So kaya hence mas maganda kung English.
I was gonna say another. When you said like when Kelly said the word resist, I just remembered that I need to thank everybody who contributed gang vocals to this song.
Thanks everyone.
I got about like 30 people.
Thank you.
It was literally an Instagram message I posted on my stories. Who can I get some people to help me with gang vocals? And they just used their phones to
Wow.
they just used all of their phones to like say resist, and then I just gave them
Yeah.
some instructions that it needs to be like really shouty and whatever. And every like it's such a hallmark of today's like technology, where you can just record. Even Boogie recorded some background vocals on his phone,
Hmm.
and for Pagpupugay, which you'll listen to later. And it's so amazing to me that you can do that nowadays. Before, kasi parang, oh, we need to be in a studio, we need to do all of this. But now you can literally use your phone and make an album.
Yeah.
And we did some of that for this album too, which is like crazy to me. Um, so yeah, another fun part of this song was that I got a lot of people uh, who are my friends from the Philippines and also from here in the US, and actually from other countries who I met in school to like give me some some gang vocals, because yeah, they were pretty happy with the project too.
Mm.
Global, di ba?
Yeah.
Sige.
So parang collaborative talaga with not just
Yeah.
you guys, like a
Yeah,
lot of
all of them are credited in that sheet that Dicta License posted in their accounts.
nice.
So thanks,
So
guys.
so that's how we form
Yeah.
fascists. Let's move on to the next song. Which narinig natin a little bit of earlier. But, yeah, before we play it, we have a comment from Bicolano Semaron. At least may musicians pa din na marunong manindigan para sa bayan. So, yeah,
Salamat.
that's from Bicolano
Sana
Semaron.
dumami tayo.
Sana ma-move sila nung song, like nung How We Form Fascists. Kung di ba naman sila ma-move, di ba? So,
Thank
next
you.
song, the next song is Posas. And we shall listen to it. What's a brief description of this song?
Tinaas na ni... Si Bugs kanina may description. Okay.
Nakaposas na todas.
Bakit?
Yeah, this is
Yes.
rock na rock.
Ito yun.
Yeah, this like a mixture of, again, textures, as Jor would describe later. Pero like, I guess this is the heaviest song that we have. Ito tsaka yung kasama. Pero this one's just in your face, but like also different textures from the the dami yung umpisa, like, and it's just 2 minutes.
Right.
Easy.
Yeah, I remember, I think Puchoy meant this to be a filler lang, not a song. But
Yes.
at some point, parang may lumabas na lyrics, I suppose. Kaya
Yeah.
naging kanta na rin. So yeah, we just turned it into a song.
Gusto pa nga mag-verse to eh. Sabi ko, wag na, okay na yan.
Sobrang sakto na eh, no? Okay.
So, ito yung filler song na naging song.
Kanta.
Yup.
Okay.
Let's play it. DJ, play. DJ.
Nakaposes na todas. 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 Posas, todas, posas, todas. Nakaposes na todas. Nakaposes na todas. Nakaposes na todas.
Kumakaripas ang nakatsinelas, di kilala ng medyas, makalyo na swelas, silang tumatakas, baka madulas. Dalas pa naman maabutan ng malas, baka makagat ng matalas. Napangil ang bala ni Judas sa udyok ng ahas. Pinitas na ang prutas, binenta ang kaluluwa kapalit ng pisetas. Kailan ba lilipas? Kahirapang pero hindi naranas. Kailan lalampas sa landas na kupas, walang patalas. Tas ganitong palabas sa halip na bigas at gatas. Dahas ang linas ng sistemang ungas, likas na buhay winaldas. Kailangan na nga ipaklas. Posas, todas, posas, todas. Posas na 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 todas. Hindi ng payo ni Elias. Hindi ng payo ni Elias. Hindi ng payo ni Elias.
So that was Posas. Gets
Nakaposa
ko
sa
na yung
talas.
ano. So, paano nasulat yung song na 'to?
Okay. So, yeah, na-mention na ni Boogie na like I just wanted like after which is ganun pa rin yung arrangement like after Inosenteng Ballad, di ba inosente pa ba tayo? That parang continuation siya. Like
Mm.
continuation but just like a like interlude type of song, like a filler nga. Um but the filler was like a minute long. So parang okay, haba na nito eh. Like, or parang I guess I had trouble rin ending the filler or like making it shorter. And yeah, but we could really make this into a song. And ayun, it's really started out with just the riff and the words nakaposas na todas. Nakaposas na todas. Like the first part and na parang of course I guess influenced by Rage Against the Machine din na uh, what do you call this, the dynamics na quiet and then it goes up and then I'm shouting something like that.
Mm.
Just those lyrics to and inspired to by a photo by Rafi Lerma
Oh.
na like yeah, I think in one of his because he does yung mga talks, 'di ba, about the drug war in his coverage of the drug war as a photojournalist. And one of his photos actually may may patay na tao tapos may binaril siya tapos meron siyang cuff marks. So, yeah, parang
Oh.
yan, nakaprocess na todas, diba? So,
Mm.
um, so just wanted to highlight that na paulit-ulit, but yeah, turned into a full song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say it's the most, well, for me, when I heard it, I was like, this is very reminiscent of like early like the license na parang yung parang grungy na may rap na
Yeah.
yeah, yung Dicta license na kinalakihan ko basically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's right. I mean, pero yung I guess the verse, no, like it's the verse and the verse part and the last part would be like something different. But yeah, yan yung medyo like malapit dun sa original sound namin.
Mm. And it's very you recorded this in quarantine?
Okay. So yeah, we recorded the first part uh is yung drums, program drum siya.
Mm.
And yeah, we just recorded. So I recorded the vocals and then sila Boogie and Kelly recorded their instruments. And yun nga, pinapadala lang kay Jar who mixes everything. But there's a part there, yung the last part na like full band, where or parang I guess like staple drummer now, si Alden Abaca, he played drums, like real drums for that part, where like the whole band comes in after the verse.
Mm. I can imagine like, well, like how did you guys record it separately? Parang it's so, I feel like it necessitates jamming. So parang what was that like recording it separately?
What was
I
it
think
like,
I
guys?
can. I think I can answer this one. Well, it's fairly common naman to not nowadays. It's fairly common to be able to, I guess, anticipate each other because these guys, these guys know each other very well, and I know these guys very well. So when Pochoy started to make the demo, it obviously did not sound like this final product, right? And it went through some developments and that kind of thing. So this was the one song from my end that I wanted to purposefully have different textures on each part. Kasi sinabi nga ni Potsoy na he wanted it to be an interlude kind of, he wanted it to be some kind of an interlude track, right? So we had a freedom. I felt like I had some sort of freedom to make it a little bit eccentric. So when the demo started, it was all out. It was kind of like an all out rock thing.
Mm.
And then I was like, this is cool, right? But it would, I felt personally that it might sound a little dated if we kept it that way. So, like I felt like it, when I was, when me and Pachoy were talking, I was like, maybe it would be nice to have different sections to each part. Like we can start off the intro as some kind of a, where it sounds like it's just coming from a broken radio, and then it'll kind of like open up, and then you expect it to blow up as a rock thing, but no, it becomes a hip hop thing. And
Mm.
then the band comes in on the third part, and then to finish it off, it becomes electronic.
Right.
It becomes this weird like electronic thing with subs and some kind of like ambient textures, sound design stuff. Um, so feeling more when you listen to the whole track, you feel like it's a rock track, but when you look back, it's like oh snap, like you know, like a bunch of things actually happened. Um, but still gives you that feeling wherein like I'll just listen to like an all out rock track, which can hopefully make people like jump up and down when they hear it live. Um, yeah. So to I went on a tangent, but to answer the question, but to answer the question, nowadays I think you can start off, you can totally make songs without necessarily jamming because people have software to put their parts in. Like Boogie recorded guitar, Kelly recorded bass, and as they record that stuff, the song changes.
Yeah.
So when me and Pachoy were like
Wala
when we
yung
were
ano,
making,
wala yung tudud, yung harmonics.
yeah,
Boogie
when
ba
we were
talaga?
making
Crazy.
when we were making the
Galing.
track, we were figuring out like it would be nice if this part was an actual real drum set with a real band. So, like it would be nice to get Boogie and Kelly to play in this kasi ito na yung part na may band, ganyan. And then dun sa dulong part, I was like, it would be nice to have like textures here or whatever. So I asked for that, like, can you give me this kind of ambient guitar stuff or whatever? And then when he gave it to me, I then edited it more and did some sound design, that kind of thing. So it was kind of like a collaborative effort, not necessarily in live jamming form, but like I took their parts as like raw materials as a palette for me to like make the
Mm.
whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So when for like maybe Kelly and Boogie, when you heard the final song, um, what was that like?
This was really dope because the funny thing was they sent over the files to us, but we had it right. Um, and I only really listened to the whole thing, the whole album, from start to finish, fully the way it was meant to be. Maybe a day before the release, or actually during the release date itself, and
Wow.
and and it was powerful. And this one, the way it was ordered, and that's why the first things I told a lot of I guess the fans who were commenting was listen to the album 1 to 12. There's really a story to it. And when this track came out, it had that vibe where I felt it, that it was the mix of when it started soft and went loud, and everything that George said. It really kind of gave that vibe. Na even the length of it. So it was a strong track for me, talaga. And just to add, also we had a lot of gang shouts also here. This was one of the tracks also that Jarrell had all of us record our vocals and send it to him, and we got a lot of friends and people to do with this track as well for Posas.
Mm. What was that? What were you recording? Like what vocals were you recording? Which part?
Yung
the
ano, I asked a bunch of people to record yung nakaposes na to, that's like
Mm.
dun
yeah,
sa ending when the band came in. And it was more like a layer na para mukhang maraming tao, parang ganun.
Mm. So palagi may
Um,
ganong line na may ano, may chorus
I,
of
I, there's like three songs where there's gang vocals. So how we form fast is Posas and Kasama, and I just felt that in those songs it needed it. It doesn't necessarily have to happen in every track, but there are some tracks that need it for texture. And
yeah.
this was one of those songs.
And it's very parang fitting because it's like another one of those songs na parang yun nga. It's like you imagine listening to it like in a gig venue surrounded by people and you're all jumping together. So that
exactly.
kind of gives it that feel. How about si Boogie? Like what was your experience with this song and recording it and listening to it the first time na finished product?
My experience, well, I really like what sila Jord did with the verse part. Kasi when 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 Puchoy starts with the verse, nagbabago eh. It becomes light. Yun nga, parang nagiging hip-hop. Parang simple ano lang, di ba? Tup, tups, tup, tup, tups. So, yeah, I like how it created some dynamic with the song. So,
Mm.
ganda. Parang nakaka-refresh. So, I really like when they did that. And my experience with recording this song was, well, the whole album actually. Because I think Jor and Puchoy have worked before with, distance recording. But me and Kel, we hadn't done that before. So medyo it took me a while personally to get used to it kasi wala pa yung gamit and everything. But eventually, yun nga, blessing in disguise nga, yung quarantine gave us time to focus on that because, medyo nag-pause sa work. We had time to just be at home and do recording. I was able to build my studio again.
Mm.
So, yun. Blessing then, I guess. So, yeah, happy with happy with the song.
So that yeah, Posas. That was Posas. Um
I
do
was
we
gonna
move on?
say,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I'm siguro ito yung I'm the most excited to play live. I don't know.
Oh,
Parang, yeah.
pwede to.
I don't know kung kaya kasi if you hear this, talagang, 'di ba, yung crowd like
You can
jumping,
imagine it. Yeah,
tukan, 'di ba? But
2 minutes,
yeah,
2 minutes in and out.
yeah. But
Diba?
I don't know if that will happen again. I hope so. Yeah.
I can imagine this song you guys playing it. Yeah, so Posas.
Yeah.
The next song that you guys chose is actually cued in Posas. So it segues into this song, which is Elias. Um, I mean, obviously, it's named after the No Limitang Hero character. Um, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
So brief description, no. So
of
yeah,
a
it's about
form.
Elias. It's about Elias, the character from Noli, who's, I guess really the spirit of the Noli. Like some scholars would say, he's the Rizal there. That's like Rizal's like good side. Um, and yeah, parang just wanted to. Yeah, there's a line there na parang buksan muli ang Noli ang gabay sa ating isipan. It's literally, calling people, telling people to, go back to our sacred texts, as Filipinos, and maybe we can figure out this thing, 'di ba? Na may pag-asa pa, and yeah.
Okay. Let's hear it. Please play the song. Elias.
Sa limang mahingas dalampasigan. Salubungin mo ang bagong umaga na iniwan. Bilisan mo at pagka mawala pa yan diyan. Huwag kang masilaw sa liwanag. Minsan mahirap maniwala. Salahin ng mga sinag ng liwanag. Di ba meron pa? Halika, halika, balikan ng mga bara. Binitawan ng konsensya ni Ibarra upang di mo malimutan mga yamang akda nila unglaan. Di masalang mo may pag-asa bago pa man siya isinilang hinatulan na galing sa angka na isinukan ng lipunan na pagbintangan ng lolo siya raw ay arsonista. Napilitan ng lola magputa para lang kumita hanggang sa lumikas ang pamilya ng trahedya. Palayo sa pagtitig ng mga mapanghusgang mata, ngunit di kinaya ng lolo ang buhay na sinapit. Sarili sinapit, namayani ang galit, kanyang tiyo'y naging tulisan. Madugong katapusan, ang lola naman natagpuan na nakabulagta sa daan. Wala na sigurong mas namuro sa kamalasan. Paano matatakasan pag nakaraan ang kulungan ha? Salubungin mo ang bagong umaga na iniwan. Huwag kang masilaw sa liwanag. Minsan mahirap maniwala. Salahin ng mga sinag ng liwanag. Di ba meron ba? Di man pinalad, kumapit pa rin sa kuko ng liwanag. Kaloobang umaapaw at handang tumugon sa tawag. Sabi niya, mas galangin pa natin ang dignidad ng sinuman. Sa halip na patayan, kailangan ng kanlungan. Unawain ng konteksto na ating ginagalawan. Ugat ng kahirapan ay hindi lang katamaran, kundi ang kakulangan ng pagserbisyo sa mamamayan at pagsuporta sa abusadong sistema ng mga kapangyarihan. Alam kong merong iilang nakakaraos, ngunit ang karamihan na nanatiling nakagapos. Mapangaping lipunan ay sagad-sagaran. Buksan muli ang moli, ang gabay sa ating isipan na salubungin mo ang bagong umaga na iniwan. Huwag kang masilaw sa liwanag. Minsan mahirap maniwala. Salahin ng mga sinag ng liwanag. Di ba meron ba? Masilaw sa liwanag. Minsan mahirap maniwala. Salahin ng mga sinag ng liwanag. Di ba meron ba? Salubungin mo ang bagong umaga na iniwan. Pinangarap ni Elias nagpaliyap.
Wow. Ganda. That was Elias. Um,
Thank you.
it's the seventh song on the album. So
I
yeah,
think it
what's
is,
the
yeah.
story behind the song?
So yeah, Elias is our current single. I guess the carrier single for the album. And yes, as I mentioned, it's really it's a song about the character Elias from Noli, and just I guess a background lang on the making of this song. I actually had the line, yung salubungin mo, yung first line, salubungin mo ang bagong umaga na iniwan. Nung 2000, I think 2004 pa. And during yung elections ni when GMA went up against FPJ during that time, there was a campaign song. It was playing on TV. Parang yung melody niya, may bagong umagang parating. That was the parang the hook of the campaign jingle, campaign song. And I don't know, parang na-trigger lang sa brain ko yung picture or yung death scene ni Elias sa Noli.
Mm.
For yeah. So because sobrang parang powerful nung scene na yon, he died basically, before sumikat yung araw, before magdawn. And he said na parang wag niyo kakalimutan yung those of kayong maiiwan, like wag niyo kakalimutan those who fought uh, for this, ganyan. So it was a powerful moment of frustration and hope, I guess. Um, Tapos yeah, yung araw nga eh. So yeah, I guess I wanted to write a song about Elias, but also carrying that feeling of hope. It's actually, I guess, like the most hopeful song in the album. Um, yeah. So
And that line, you had it since 2004? Did I hear
yes, yung salubungan mo, like I guess si Kel would know this eh. I don't know, may mga demos kami before na parang yun yung, I would rap that. That would be like my freestyle, yung baon na line. Salubungin mo ang bagong umaga. It's something like that. Yeah, I've had it since way back then. And yun nga, parang pandemic, I wanted to write, okay, di ba, I have that, yung pinangarap ni Elias. Let's make a song and influenced by Hamilton the musical, actually.
Yeah. I was gonna
Because
say, like, it has this Hamilton vibe.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. Although this is not like history, it's kind of history, Philippine history, but more of our literature, diba, as a nation. So yeah, just wanted to. I've always wanted to write about Elias. So yun, got to do it.
Yeah. I'm curious lang, like, how do you, when you have something like that, like a line or a melody or whatever, how do you store it for future use? Like this one, was it just in your head or nakasulat mo siya somewhere?
It's just in my head. The line lang, the lyric lang yung meron ako. The melody just came out naturally, I guess, like just with me like singing. That's the natural melody, and then I put the chords together. Yeah, but it wasn't written. It was probably written somewhere before, but nawala na yun. But I always had that. Those two lines, yeah.
And it's the most well, not, yeah, I guess it's like it's like a different tone to the other songs na yun nga, it's very um slow, not slow, yeah, slow, I guess. And quieter, I guess.
Tempo, yeah.
Yeah. How did that come about, like that sound?
I don't know. The original beat that I sent to Jorel, and I also, because if you notice background, there's like me singing also na oohs and ahs with the guitar, with the plucking. So I guess it was just natural na parang it's not the melody called for a more laid back type of sound. So yun, parang like oohs and ahs, and then with the acoustic guitar. Actually, si Jorel naglagay rin siya nung plucking. So yeah, it just came out naturally. That's that way.
Si Boogie yung naglagay.
yeah, yeah. Driller Boogie. I don't know.
So Boogie yung nilagay nung
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what's like the most, I guess, because you're the main songwriter, Pochoy. But how do you guys bring in your own parts into it, like based off of his song?
For this, sorry, I just jumped in, right? But for this, basically, so the work flow, right? The workflow is Pochoy writes the stuff in a demo kind of thing, in a demo kind of form. Then he gives it to me, and then we kind of decide like we need certain things for certain parts. We need a guitar for this part. We need a drum set for, we need whatever for this part. What, and since this is a band, like I'm obligated, and I want to involve everyone, right? So I'm trying to see, like, I know what Boogie and Kelly can do. So anything that they can do, I ask them for it. And I don't ask for I ask for a general thing. Sometimes I ask for a very specific thing. Pero at the end of the day, they're the ones putting in their input. You know what I mean? So I asked them, can you give me like a plucking thing in the chorus? Can you give me a plucking thing on the higher register on this chorus? Kelly, can you play this kind of thing in the on the verse or something like? And sometimes they would give me something that's like, oh, that's really great. Even if I didn't ask for it, then I still, I have to decide if I want to put it or not. And most of the time, I just put it because it's good. You know what I mean? So as far as this workflow is concerned for this album, that's how it went. That's not how it goes for everybody, but for this particular album, it we were more like purposeful in asking for parts. It's not just, oh, here's the song and see what you can do. Some of it
Though,
minsan some of it minsan gumagana yung ganon. Pero for this one, we were very like concise with like, I want this, and this. And then because I kind of had a kumbaga, in a way, I had like a vision of how I wanted the track to end up, and I knew how to get there, and I wanted certain things from certain people. Um,
yung
so
yung there's medyo surprised though yung feedback swelling ni Boogie, no? I don't know. Did you ask for that?
hindi, ginagawa
That
na rin niya. He
that
does
was
that.
kind of a surprise, like at least for me. Like I didn't
Yeah.
expect it to be that way. And considering na Bugs, hindi ka gumamit ng amp dun, di ba?
No, no amp.
Yeah, it because that really, if you listen to it, that there's like a guitar feedback, like that that's like setting the ambience of the whole track, and para siyang to me the yung imagery ng sunrise eh.
Right, right,
Yung,
right,
yeah, parang
Mm.
right.
it was just like so. I didn't expect
So
that actually.
yeah. So the what Pacha was talking about was one of the things na when I asked for an ambient thing, I did not expect him to do that, but he did it. So it was kind of like I asked him for something, and he gave his input, and then
Right.
it was it was one of those moments where it was truly collaborative because like I asked for a thing, but he gave his own interpretation of what I asked for, and it totally worked.
No, and
So
just to add to what Jarrell said, and the fact that he's here actually, um, the album Pagbigkas is as much Jarrell as all of us, and that's why he's also in our interviews, in all of the in all of the things we need to talk about because it was really he had a lot of say and a lot of input in how the album was shaped, really,
Mhm.
and it was adjustment to us. We're used to being a band, but in order to adapt to the way music is now, the way the sounds are happening now, and of course what Jarrell has known being in the US and doing and experiencing everything there, he was really a big part of this whole process.
Mhm. So we were talking about the guitars on that track and how si Boogie surprised you guys with what he came up with. What were you thinking, Boogie, when you played the guitars for this for
Hmm.
Elia?
I don't know. I guess whatever I could just, whatever comes up first when you hear the demo first, I guess that's what came to my mind immediately. So yeah, like what George said, uh, yeah, he was so organized. He had, sheets for us. He would email us, what I want,
Make
what,
Google
make
what I
Google
Google
need.
Sheets.
Sheets.
Very organized, so very good. And yeah, like
Unlike
what
Excel sheet ko eh. But anyway, I was like,
like what George said, syempre, I still wanted to put what I heard for the song. So that's why ganun yung lumabas. So I gave everything they wanted and needed plus what I could hear, what I would do, you know,
Hmm.
if, by
What
myself. So yeah,
what's
kaya ganun yung lumabas.
Yeah. So for like you and Kelly are like instrumentalists. So what's your process like when it's time to put in your parts into a song? Like, do you listen to it? Do you like what's your creative
Yeah.
process?
So so when they send it to me, I usually tell them I'll give it back to you in a week. Give me a few days because I like to listen to it over and over muna. I like to organize my because hindi lang kasi for me one take. Usually for the guitar, I can put acoustic guitars, electric guitars, ambient, usually at the same time, patong-patong, then I put the keyboard. So I really like to, I just, while going through my day, tinutugtog ko lang throughout the day until siguro after 3, 4 days, hinog na. So I know na what I want. Then yun, record, email. Yeah, that's my
Mm.
process.
So
It
it
was a
takes
little more, yeah. It was a little harder for me also because this was a different feel. The whole process for this, I mean, me and Jor had a couple of video conferences pa. I was like, this is how I want it to be. I'm like, isn't it the way? Isn't it that like that already? And then he's like, no, hindi pa, hindi pa. Then so it was really, there was really a lot of
Parang nasa YouTube pa yata yung mga
a bunch of private
mabilis lang,
videos for him. It was
mabilis
so
lang
funny.
YouTube channel.
I still have them anyway.
It's fun to see him, because I like seeing Jor anyway in the big screen. But then it's same thing with with Bugs also, but a lot of coordination with Jarel. Again, because there's certain things he heard for this album. And of course, as a player, of course, I hear also certain things, but I also have to trust Jarrell because he's the producer, and I understand that dynamic, and it's more than just a part. We're just a part of this. It's really about the whole song and what the song needs and what the song requires. So at the beginning, you really it was a collaborative effort, but at the same time, you have to also check your ego at the door and really know what's best for the song. And that's always been the case because if when I look back and I think about it, as much as everything is there, it's really the whole message of what this is trying to say. That's the most important thing I think for this album.
Mm. So for Elias, like how did you come up with a bass line for that?
There was already ito yung marami kaming takes actually ni Jarrell. The bass line was already there. Well, we were going a lot of back and forth on the field. I was very with this track with this song. I was a little more aggressive in the way I played it, but Jarrell will always tell me, you have to tone it back and keep it steady with the certain things you're playing. So because generally with Dicta, I'm a little more okay. Let's do it. Then let's play. With the live vibe or how we do it. But what the song required was, it's the story of waking up and that feeling. So yeah, I had to
Yeah,
also kind of
the whole approach really. Sorry, I just butted in, right? But the whole approach really is to the album was that I told Pochoy that I want to make the album as good as it sounds without thinking too much about how we're gonna play it live, how you guys are gonna play it live, because we can figure that out, all of that eventually. Because I guess ang experience ko kasi with artists here, right, is that they just make the album that they want, sonically, production wise, and whatever. Because all of the production elements, you can just incorporate that into a live show nowadays. You can put tracks and you can still have a band playing and you can still have the whole production. Like a lot of people are doing that nowadays. So when we were making the songs, I was like, let's just make the best sounding album that we can and not really think about we're going to be able to do this, etc., etc. So when we were talking about the bass line, Pochoy actually came up with the bass line, and then I executed it in a certain way. And then I was like, I need Kel to play this because he's the bass player for this band. So
Yeah.
I had to like go through like certain things, certain specific things with him. Um, so if I may go on a little tangent, right? One of the things that I wanted to say about Elias, and it's also present in the other songs in the album, was there's always a like, and na-notice na nasabi ko na rin to kanina na there's always a sections of certain things, right? So for Elias, there's a section wherein there's a real drum set, and there's a section where there's a programmed drum set.
Right.
Sa Elias, meron ding section na there's a synthesizer bass and then there's a real bass. And then yung texture niya nagko-contrast. Like mapapansin mo yun doon sa huling chorus. Like second to the last chorus, it's a real bass, and then towards the end, it's a synth bass na naiiba yung texture, parang nag-a-add ng layers. And then dun sa verse into the first chorus, it's a programmed drums. Pagpasok ng second verse, it's a real drummer na. Tapos parang alam mo yun, dumadagdag yung layers, nag-iiba yung texture, nag-iiba yung, parang lumalaki siya ng lumalaki. And then, meron ding approach na, I think I was watching a video of, who's the name of the person? Will I Am, right? Basically what he was saying was that how he makes his beats is that he samples a real drum set, right? He records it one by one. Like if it's a snare or a kick, ganyan, he records it that way. I kind of did the same thing with Elias dun sa drum set, where we actually recorded a real drum set. But I Pochoy wanted a specific beat for the chorus. So what I did was I actually chopped up the whole drum set, even if it was a real drum set, and treated it like a hip hop sample, parang ganon.
Oh.
Where it sounds like a real drum set, but it's actually, if you listen to it more closely, it kind of sounds like artificial. And then isang section lang yun. Like that was just only for one section, and then pagdating sa last chorus, it's the ano na talaga, parang ganon.
So these little things that you do for the song, like, is it for the texture, like to add more texture?
Yeah. And it's for the texture, and so that there's variation sonically. Kasi ano yun parang one thing that I learned, and what I've noticed with productions that I like, right? It's not one thing from start to finish. There's some kind of variation that's happening within the song. That's kind of subtle, but it's still a variation.
Yeah.
So I tried to apply that kind of philosophy with the way we treated stuff. And you guys were talking about like the approach to the guitar playing. So for Elias, like I knew that Boogie plays electric guitar and all of that stuff, but I did not want the big power chords and all of that because this song was not that kind of song. So I needed, like my job as a producer too was to find the best traits of each band member and make sure that we put it in the song so that it becomes like their sound and not just like some, one person's idea or something, you know. And give them enough freedom to give them enough freedom to put in their own stuff without being too imposing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
That's
done.
yeah, like
Tangent.
but everything it's super interesting to have you guys break it down because like as listeners we don't really notice these things. I mean, we you can tell like okay a song's really good but you can't pinpoint why, and then you guys break it down and oh yeah, okay, I guess that's what makes it different. So yeah, I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
um
won't go. I won't go on a tangent next time.
teko lang. So yeah, we're gonna listen to the last track that you chose.
But I will talk about this one.
Parang madaming kwento behind this song.
No, no. Yeah. Well, well, it's the most ano ba, parang stripped down song. Um, so Pagpupugay. This is the last for our session today. Um, most stripped down song. It's just a keyboard, no percussive instrument, and just the voice. And this is inspired by actually my work, my previous work. So I worked as a lawyer for indigenous peoples with Legal Rights and Natural Resources Center. So yeah, I just wanted to pay tribute to the people we worked with during that time. So yeah, that's what inspired the song. Hope you like
Okay,
it.
so let's play Pagpupugay.
Ikaw na nauna, umibig sa lupa, sa kanya sumibol ang iyong hiwaga at diwa. Di hiwalay kailanman ang buhay sa pinagtubuan, ngunit ika'y pinipilit. Mundo mo ngayon'y tila naninikip at hindi ko nakita, hindi ko narinig patak ng luha sa lupa. Kailangan ko nang umimik. Ito'y pagpupugay sa dakila mong buhay. Matapang na tinig, sana iyong naririnig, naririnig. Kape sa umaga, ginto na minina, enerhiyang sagana, kapalit ng iyong pagdurusa. Dahil hindi ko narinig, tugong dumaloy sa lupa, baguhin ang pag-iisip. Ito'y pagpupugay sa dakila mong buhay. Matapang mong tinig, ngayon sana'y maririnig. Maririnig, maririnig, maririnig. Ito'y pagpupugay sa dakila mong buhay.
That's
Wow.
it.
It
That's
sounds so
it.
prayerful.
It's
Pagpupugay.
sounds so prayerful. That's nice.
Yeah, so tell us about the song, like what it was inspired by the people you worked with as
Yeah.
a human rights lawyer. So yeah.
So
What
yeah,
what
so like I said, diba, worked for indigenous peoples for a few years, and it's really just as the chorus goes, diba, dahil hindi ko nakita, hindi ko narinig, um, patak ng luha sa lupa, kailangan ko na umimik. So these are the people that are experiencing a lot of oppression, a lot of violations happen within their communities, mostly pushed by development aggression. Big mining companies, big large scale agribusiness, ganyan, and energy projects. Parang um, I guess medyo parang guilty rin kasi with all the luxuries of city life, we have sagana tayo sa ano. Meron din tayo may mga hindi tayong napapansin na baka nadedehado. So yeah, so that's really what the tribute is. Um,
mm,
it- this pagpupugay is all about. And yeah, how I wrote it. This is the last song that I wrote in the album for the album. It was really just a matter of like sitting down, acoustic guitar. Yeah, it's very stripped down. But the lyrics, yung pinaka-importante dito yung lyrics, eh. Like how to say it the best way possible.
yeah, and I think that's what stands out. Then I guess that's why it sounds prayerful because it's the words that stand out. Um,
Mhm.
did you like when you write about, I guess, other people's struggles? Like, is there any? Do you have any reservations when you approach, or how do you approach writing about other people's struggles?
Uh, well, ano ba? It's still my experience. So yeah, just reflecting on past experience, memory, diba? And also learnings from from the people I interacted with. So that whole experience plays a part into the writing. It informs me. Um, uh, I guess medyo may the good thing is these are real experiences rin. I'm not just writing from head knowledge, diba? So yeah, and I guess this is like the first time I wrote about like a particular group, no. So that was really that's just the whole story behind it. Yeah.
Mhm. And there are like, was it like chanting or like voices towards the end of the song? Um, yeah, who
Yeah.
contributed those vocals?
Yeah. So yeah, very honored to have her on the record. That was actually Miss Grace Nono, who
Oh wow.
graced us with her voice. And yeah, super. Ano ba? Like how it happened. Ano ba? Like, you want to know?
Go ahead.
Yeah, syempre, I actually had a sample of some vocals na I got off the internet na indigenous peoples. Um, but syempre, like naniniwala tayo sa free, prior, and informed consent. Like we don't just get from people. That's what happens with sampling, eh, di ba? You just get like a piece of music from the internet. But since indigenous people are close to my heart, kailangan ko magpaalam, di ba? So I had a sample. I actually had some contacts that could, enable me to ask permission from the person who sang it. Pero ang hirap dahil pandemic, 'di ba? So what happened was, okay, paano to? Like I want like a voice, like a different texture, a different voice. And then I don't know, kami ni Joel, we were just like talking, sino kayo? Naisip ko na lang, baka pwedeng, si Grace Nono, kasi like I'm a fan of hers, I'm a fan of her voice. And how did it happen? My other bandmate from my other band, Malay, si Miguel Dayanghirang, is bandmates with Grace Nono's daughter, Tao Aves, and of Sleep Kitchen. So he connected us, and yeah, I emailed Miss Grace. So this whole time, the whole process was just through email. Actually, we only spoke once on the phone, and yeah, back and forth, and yeah, this is the final product.
What was it that she sang exactly? Because she sings like prayer chants and
Yeah.
um
So she did she really just literally sent us vocals. Na she listened to the song.
mm,
She said, okay, this is good. I could do this. And then we just waited kung ano yung dumating. Like she just recorded over it. And then yeah, we sort of like chop things up, put the kasi ambient vocals no, so Jor and I, we debated rin on how to to place the vocals, and yeah, this is the version that was that came out. Yeah.
right. Parang ba't yun natatawa? Like parang may story pa. Like what went on in the production? Like bakit natatawa si Kelly? Basically, is my question.
No, kasi I mean, of course, there's a lot of stories about how it happened, and
Yeah.
si Joel
No, no,
was
no.
like, yeah,
Yeah, no, it's kasi syempre parang it was a lot of like a lot of versions of the thing. Um so and grabe yung debate namin ni Jorel on this, because like he had like his ideas, and of course I had I guess ito yung pinaka like hotly debated song namin, and it's the simplest one pa.
Hmm.
Kasi when you have like vocals, just the
Tangent na to,
vocal.
tangent. Let's just go on a tangent.
Yeah. So yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Grabe kasi talaga yung debate
No,
namin.
we really went through a lot. Me and Pachoy went through a lot. That's why we're laughing.
Yeah, kasi si Miss Grace, she just like sent the vocals. So ang hirap ilagay 'di ba? So
Yeah.
I had my ideas and Jorel had his, and sa instance nito, I guess nanalo ako.
We both insisted on doing certain things, and then what ended up happening was that his idea was actually the best one.
Right.
And you could say that now, not sure.
Yeah. I admit, I was wrong in my.
Thank you.
I admit in public that I was wrong.
I'm curious as to what Jarrell's version.
It was more like it was just I don't know, like how much are we gonna use these certain elements
Mm.
Like Pochoy wanted more, I wanted less because we were approaching this with a very minimal, like
Ang
a
hirap
very
eh.
minimal. Yeah, it was
Minimal.
it's so delicate because it's
Yeah.
like how simple, like it was an exercise in simplicity per se, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so how simple are we gonna go? How, you know what I mean? How much layers are we gonna put into the song?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was mostly that.
Yeah. Well,
and
and
May
and to also
nagsuntukan
add,
eh.
Online suntukan, online sabong.
pero
May nakita pa ako online gagamba.
Yan. Okay.
Like a virtue.
Tangent.
Anyway,
Tangent.
tangent.
but in context of the whole Pagbigkas, when I listened to the whole album, this was the track that really kind of gave it that feel na, from everything that we were talking about, it gave it that almost like chanting spiritual feel, then ending into kapangyarihan, diba? So again, I think as the album as a whole, all the tracks we chose, of course, we highlighted. It was also nice to go back and look at the different tracks that were released. Bango Bayani, there's a different version, when you come up with this version. Um, Listening to Salita again and Senting Bala and all the other tracks, that when you put them together, told this nice story. That was the moment for me that kind of, okay, there's something here in this, as a whole, that really um, said something. Plus also the interludes that were placed in the album were actually very powerful also. And a couple of people messaged me about even those interludes, and said, lakas na, alam mo yun.
yeah.
And so those are things that really just, I think, capture the whole theme of what this album meant for us.
The interludes that you chose, we're talking about the poem by Father Albert Alejo,
Yes.
and the speech by Jose Jokno. Why did you choose these two particular um interludes to include?
So about with Father Alejo, Paring Bert, I'm just a fan of his. Also met him uh, in in my work with indigenous peoples, uh, and yeah, just I knew he wrote about uh, killings before, and it I just it just fit yung Inosenteng Bala, so it acted as an intro to Inosenteng Bala. With Kapepe Jokton naman, I'm just like a big fan of Kapepe Jokno. I you know he is a revered lawyer, human rights lawyer. So yeah, and I talked to the Jokno family actually, na pinaalam ko yung speech, yung A Nation for Children, and yeah, they were kind enough to lend Kapepe's voice.
Mm. So that was an actual recording of the speech.
Yes, that's a recording, and
Wow.
with their consent, of course.
Yeah. So that's Pagbigkas. Yeah, it's out now on all digital platforms. So, anything else you guys want to say before we wrap up this listening?
I just want to thank you also to Rappler for for always being there for us, and for always giving us a platform to talk about our music. And ever since the beginning, everyone here, thank you for always supporting what we have to say. Um, and yeah, I think the last thing is, I think, on my end, um, tomorrow we're, all the Dicta fans, we've gotten a lot of messages, and it's actually pretty cool to hear, and to see all the reactions that they have had on Facebook and on Twitter, and I think it's important to also thank them for sticking around and waiting this long with us. Salamat salamat sa
Yeah.
paghintay, and we appreciate all the people who give their comments and who share and who do all those things in the gens, everyone who's been there from the beginning. Salamat sa inyo. Thanks for
Mhm.
waiting. And tomorrow we'll be premiering the lyric video of Elias on our
Is it
YouTube
tomorrow
channel.
or Friday?
I forgot. Oh, in a couple of days.
Soon.
Friday. But we're
Yeah.
premiering the
Bukas
lyric video.
makalawa.
Bukas makalawa. So yeah, check that out. I think it's gonna be a good piece also to kind of add to
On
the
YouTube.
story on
Is it?
YouTube, on our YouTube channel. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, we have a question from Aris Christian Agustin. Any CD or vinyl release of the album in the future?
Thinking about it.
Ooh, okay. That's very vague.
At ng fans namin sa Facebook, first thing again, may CD release.
Yeah.
Yun ang una palagi.
May CD player pa rin kayo. Yeah.
Pero pinag-uusapan namin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess people can just follow you guys on social media to get updates.
Yeah.
Yes.
Follow us on Dicta License PH. Twitter, Instagram, License to Speak on Facebook. And YouTube's Dicta License PH also.
Mm.
It's actually our first time to release an album in this digital
In
age.
this era.
So sanay kami CD, diba? So this is the first time we've actually done it like this. And
Oh,
it's
wow.
actually really cool. It's a different kind of experience.
Okay. So any future plans like now that the second album is out? Are you guys working on the next one or breaking?
We're probably gonna take a break. And well, considering the pandemic, there's really like in terms of gigs, ganyan, but yeah, we'll promote this album through the internet, through releases, content, um, possibly a gig, a live gig, online gig, but we'll see.
Okay. So thanks guys for listening with us to your songs, for sharing your songs and the stories. Yeah.
Thanks,
Love
Amanda.
it.
Thanks,
Thanks, Amanda.
Raptor.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Amanda. Thank you,
This is
Rappler.
Rappler Talk Entertainment with Dicta License. Yay.
Pagbigkas.
Out now.
Thank you.